up on Artifacts, Claire DeCoster from the Academy for Film and Television takes on a monumental task. Jeff Nelson talks St. Paul Arts Partnership. David Hanson and Norman Anderson make Music in the Wind. And we celebrate the Minnesota Black Music Expo with Little Buddy. All this and more rap on Artifacts next.
Hello and welcome to Artifacts, the show that talks about the arts in the Twin Cities area. I'm Phill Lindsay with the Minneapolis Community Development Agency.
And I'm Zahn with the Office of Film, Video, and Recording for the city.
And we're going to do just a little news. All tourism is cultural tourism. That quote is attributed to Garrison Keillor, who was speaking at a White House conference on tourism a few years ago. And here are some figures to back that up. The Travel Industry Association of America reports that fully 1/3 of all U.S. adults were cultural tourists last year. Some 70 million of us traveled to see the arts, history, and heritage of this country. The association also calculates that cultural tourists spend 45% more per trip than do all U.S. travelers, averaging $615 per trip. Travel far, see good things, keep in touch.
An independent feature film, Kill Me Softly, will begin shooting in Minneapolis in July. The executive producer of the film is Dennis Neomia, who has a connection to Minnesota through his work with local indie filmmaker Travis Malloy and Travis's film, The Visionary. Kill Me Softly will be the third LA-based feature-length film production in 1998 for Minnesota, following A Simple Plan and A Chance of Snow, which were shot earlier in the year. Kill Me Softly will be shot primarily in the city of Minneapolis, and we're happy to welcome them here.
Now, last month, those of you who took notes will remember that we reported on the Mozart effect that supposedly raises student IQs. Now there is evidence from the College Entrance Examination Board that 4 years or more of arts and music classes in high school can raise your SAT scores by an average of 83 points. That's compared to students who take half a year or less of such courses. Now, other research indicates that there are lower dropout rates for students involved in the arts, and longitudinal studies of some 25,000 young people showed this and other benefits, including those higher standardized test scores and even more community involvement, regardless of social economic status. So listen to Mozart and go on a trip.
Variety magazine, in its May 18th box office report, lists worldwide box office cumulative revenues for the movie Titanic at $1,648,868,737. Hoo-wee!
Wow, that could probably get the Twins a shortstop. Minnesota comes in second among the 50 United States per capita in spending on the arts. At $2.79 per person, Minnesota is ahead of number 3 Massachusetts at $2.41 a person, Michigan at $2.25, and New York in 5th place at $2.24 per person. The number 1 state, Hawaii, spends $5.10 per capita on the arts. For comparison, Montana, number 50, spends 0.21, that's 21 cents per person on the arts.
So Phil, I wonder if Don Ho gets any of that Hawaiian money.
He's making big bucks out there.
He is.
I think so.
Poor Don Ho.
Now, coming up next, Janet's up for some acting for the camera lessons with Claire DeCoster from the Academy for Film and Television.
Phil, are you saying I need acting lessons?
Even professionals like yourself, Janet, every once in a while can use a little helpful hint.
I suppose that's true, but, well, how about if I share some of my newfound wisdom with you at the end of the show?
I think we'll all be illuminated by that. That'll be great. So just think of that. Now stay tuned. We'll be right back with the fabulous Artifacts giveaway, and then Janet will be back with Claire DeCoster.
This month's Artifacts giveaway, from the Academy for Film and Television, a handsome, handy, soft-sided European carry-all that goes anywhere. A lovely addition to any wardrobe, this durable tote can be yours by calling the City Cable 34 hotline at 673-2234. Leave your name, address, and phone number. If you're the 6th caller to leave a message, we'll mail this handsome European carry-all from the Academy for Film and Television right to your home. Call 673-2234.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to my first guest on Artifacts today. I have Claire DeCoster from the Academy of Film and Television. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Tell me a little bit about the Academy. What is it? When was it founded? What's your mission in life?
This June will be 1 year old. We had an open house last June, and we've had 3 trimesters so far this year. They're 12 weeks long. The classes are in the evenings and on Saturdays, so it's for working people. But the backbone of the program is post-secondary actor training. And we believe that acting for the stage and for film comes from the same foundations. So we have movement, we have voice and speech, we have all those foundational Stanislavski classes, and then you're fine-tuned into camera acting, because that's where you're going to be making the money in your career. We want to help actors really be able to continue and have a career.
Now, this is the Academy for Film and Television, so specifically, was there just a need in this market? What was the thinking early on? I mean, how did this come about?
I think a lot of people in this community have been hoping that there would be a training center, a professional training center for a long time. When I was an actress here, I really wanted that, and other friends and directors in town I've talked to. I think that we are different from other colleges because we do streamline. You're not taking other academics, but you're also going right into camera work. Nowadays, we used to be able to work or learn on the set. You used to be able to kind of learn as you went, and it's so competitive nowadays that you have to learn in school, or you need to know how to do it when you get on set. That's why they hire you, is because you know how to do it. So we're creating an environment where you can learn.
What's the difference? I mean, you're getting trained actors that are very trained for the stage, that are going to be moving into film and television for the camera. Tell me a little bit about some of the things that are different about acting on stage versus acting for the camera.
Well, we're going to talk about that today. We could go right into it.
We could.
Some of the things are the frame. That's a basic thing you need to know, is how big the frame is around you, so that tells you how far your acting partner is from you. So the intensity of your performance will be in conjunction with the frame.
Sure.
Okay. Another thing we work with are tensions that people have in front of a camera, and getting rid of those tensions and going back to that free space where you are open to the lens, you are open to the camera. Another thing is just knowing that you're performing just to one point. You're not performing for a full audience, you're performing for one person, one point. So those are the 3 things we were just going to talk about today, but there are lots of cheating you do, and hitting your marks, and remembering to breathe, and all those things.
Is that a difficult transition for stage actors to make?
I don't think so. I think it's fun. If you love to act, you just it's just more to learn. It's intriguing and fun. The foundations are the things I think of acting that take time, opening yourself to the art and all that growth. And once you get to an intermediate level or so, then moving into camera technique is just fun. Just kind of more.
I do want to get into the camera thing, because I'm anxious to try this. But one thing I want to make sure that you are telling our audience is about your summer intensive schedule and your classes that you're going to be offering, or some of them.
Right. This summer it's called an intensive because we're having classes twice a week. So each class will meet 2 times a week as opposed to 1 time a week, which I think is something we may move into in the future. So far we've had classes once a week. So it starts July 13th and it runs for 6 weeks to August 22nd. And we have a whole bunch of different classes: acting 1 for teens, commercial acting, acting on camera. They all kind of sound the same, but they all have different specific avenues or whatever. Sure. We have voice and speech. So all those things are going to be held this summer.
Can you take these classes if you're not a trained actor?
We get it. Yes, we place people in classes that are right for their experience level. Okay.
Well, here we go. Let's try doing this thing.
Okay.
Claire and I have been talking about doing an exercise that someone who might be taking a class at the Academy might experience. And I'm very anxious to do this. So let's
turn on our machines.
Let's run our machines.
I'm going to give you now some cold copy. This is what you would get if you came in for a commercial audition.
Okay.
It's cold to you. You've never seen it before. So she's going to look at that while we play with some, let's see, play.
And record. Did you get record?
Yeah, I wanted to. Okay, we'll do that right now. Okay, let's see. Stop. play record.
Here we go.
Okay. We're going to come in on Janet now in a close-up, an extreme close-up. And so she knows as an actress that her scene partner is inches from her nose. This is a very
Really
close shot, right? So that's the intensity with which she needs to act this scene. Now let's go back to a regular close-up, which includes the shoulders, okay? Then her partner is about a foot or a foot and a half from her, okay? That's the intensity with which she needs to act. Then we're going to bring it down to a 2T shot. Right, okay? Your partner's about 3 feet from you, 3 or 4 feet. And then we're going to go into a master shot if we can, or a medium shot is next. That's a medium shot. And then a master is what we've been sitting at today, yeah, showing me, shows the whole scene. So when they do a succession of shots, they'll do the master shot first, which shows the whole scene,
Right.
and then they'll come back and do the little shots, the close-ups and the fancy dolly shots and all that
Okay.
stuff.
All right.
So we're going to take her back now to a 2T shot, and she's going to read this copy and look into the lens as much as you can. Take your
Okay.
time,
Okay.
okay?
You ask me how I feel about being a working parent. Well, since I've started working, I've had a jumble of feelings. Glad, sad, and everything in between. But now we're doing just fine, thank you. I've got a good job and Kelly's got childcare. I wanted the best childcare possible, so when I read that childcare was offering a free day, I made an appointment for a visit and I liked what I saw. So did Kelly. Do yourself and your child a favor. Call childcare and arrange for a free visit. You'll be glad you did.
Good, very nice, very
Why,
nice.
thank you.
Yeah, we're going to take her, we're going to
Press
pause
pause.
now and take it back. Well, let's see, rewind, I guess I'll do rewind.
Yeah, there you go.
And we're going to look at her read here.
Let's see if we get it.
And what we work with at the Academy is what's called entanglements, things, nervous habits, twitches that you're not aware of. Let's see, I want to just take it back. Good, that's what I wanted to do. Okay. Now we're going to play
Okay,
and bring up the volume. My arms.
there I am.
All right, so we're
I'm going to take her back now to a 2T shot.
Okay, we can forward a little bit.
Oops, it only goes backwards, remember?
Okay,
So you have to just, okay.
stop. Play. Oh, getting this all going.
We'll get it, it'll work. And it'll all be worth it.
All right. So we're going to take her back now to
Okay.
a 2T shot.
I might pause it to show some entanglements.
The lens as much as you can. Take your
Okay.
time. Okay.
Entanglements. You asked me how I feel about being a working parent.
Okay, good. There's some tension that you have in your forehead, which is what I had to and what I still work on.
Yeah.
And you'll see that your eyebrows are coming up and down. We'll see. We'll watch more of it. And so what that does is, if you were in an extreme close-up or in a big major
Yeah.
film, house, your eyebrows would be going up and down.
Would be huge.
Feet, right?
Yes.
So you have to really, really
Relax your face.
relax. Now that doesn't mean that the passion leaves. That's the thing that you need to find too. The passion needs to still be there and come out the eyes and in the voice. So let's just watch now. Let's watch for a little bit for her eyebrows.
Well, since I've started working, I've had a jumble of feelings. Glad, sad, and everything in between. But now we're doing just fine.
The bangs
thank
covers
you.
it a little bit, but
Good job. They're moving, and though. Kelly's got childcare.
it's a nice
I
read.
wanted the best childcare possible. So when I read that childcare was offering a free Red. day, I made an appointment for a visit, and I liked what I saw. So did Kelly.
Good. Another thing I'm noticing is that you're holding your breath. You're kind of right, and so that makes me as a watcher nervous, right? And so that would be something you would work on. Your teacher would tell you to release. I had a teacher, because I had tension in my forehead, put tape on my forehead. So every time I moved my forehead, I was aware.
You were cognizant.
Right. And what happened is when I became aware, then everything relaxed. My breath dropped, my voice dropped, and I was able to be present to the camera, which is what we're going for. So
Okay.
anyway, good.
Do yourself and your child a favor. Call childcare and arrange for a free visit. You'll be glad you did.
Good.
Oh, it's so dramatic.
It was. It was a
thank
nice
you.
read.
Thank
yeah.
you. Well, it's really fascinating, and I found, and as I have been working on this show, to watch myself and to critique myself is extremely valuable, because there's so many things that you're not conscious of. So I would think, as an actor who is on stage, used to doing things very broadly, to have to pull the focus in so much to right here. I mean, you're talking not even your forehead.
Yeah, it's fine tuning and knowing that your performance just goes to one place, so that you need to, none of the passion and the intensity can leave, but it just is focused to a certain place.
Well, thank you very much, Claire. It was just fascinating, and I'm going to try and remember this stuff now as I'm doing the rest of the show. Thank you very much for coming. I want to give people the telephone number for the Academy, so if they are interested in taking classes, and let's not forget, you've got the free sample day.
Right.
That is on
June 14th.
Yes. And what does that?
That is an open house. We have open houses 4 times a year before each new trimester. And they're on Sundays, and they're usually from 11 to 4, and all the faculty are there, and all the classes are up and running in different time slots. And you sign up and take classes for free. And you can ask questions, and you actually get up and do exercises, so that you get to know what we're about.
Sounds great. Phone number is 915-9132. And they can call and get their questions answered and check into the free sample day. Take some classes maybe this summer.
Yeah.
Sounds like it would be really a valuable thing. I'm glad you're here. It's good for the market, good for the city.
Good, thanks.
Thank you, Claire. Well, the St. Paul Arts Partnership strives to build a downtown filled with arts activity. The partnership's Jeff Nelson will join Phill to tell you more about that work in just a few minutes. But first, a music video from Next, a talented group of men from Minneapolis who have hit the big time. They signed with Arista Records about a year ago, and their most recent album was #1 on the Billboard charts just a couple of weeks ago. They're now on tour with Boys to Men, and they're up for special recognition at this year's Black Music Expo, June 19th through the 21st at International Market Square. Here's Next with But a Love.
Well, we do hope that you enjoyed that music video from Next. Now, later in the show, Lil Buddy and his crew will perform here in the studio, and we'll have more big news from the Black Music Expo, so stay tuned for that. Now, my next guest is Jeff Nelson. He's the executive director of the St. Paul Arts Partnership. Glad you're here.
Thanks, Phil.
And actually, this is kind of an exciting topic here, because St. Paul, which has a venerable history in the arts, and in some ways over the years has actually driven, in my opinion, some arts initiatives in the metro area, you now are running this thing called the St. Paul Arts Partnership. In broad terms, what is it?
We're an arts development organization, and which is kind of a new niche in the arts community, where we're not an arts presenter, we don't put anything on. All we do is drive energy into existing arts organizations and eventually build new resources for the arts in a very strict geographic area, which is downtown St. Paul.
Okay.
So we work with all of the arts organizations that perform in the theater district, which runs from the Ordway to the History Theater, to promote their work, to build new audiences, and eventually to build new resources and to bring in new energy into that area.
Now, when you say resources, obviously marketing is part of this, and maybe a major part of it. What other kinds of things are you looking for doing to do?
It's everything from collaborative programming to marketing, which is really our focus as we're getting started. But eventually it's everything from shared space. It can be, we have the shared website, which is part of the marketing initiative. But really resources, there's no limit to the resources that you can build if you work together, which is what we're doing.
Well, and in a minute, I'd like to look at some of the things that you were talking about, because your website's a very nice one. I've looked it up. It's excellent. You do other good collateral stuff. So you're doing a good job on the marketing thing. Who are some of the partners you're working with? Or maybe another way to put that is, how did this start? What drove this?
Well, it's kind of a very unique situation in that we as an organization really came in from the outside. I was working for the Times Theater Company, which was a small theater company in downtown St. Paul, and found that there was a real lack of collaborative energy. There'd been a lot of attempts, the Cultural Corridor Initiative, which is still sort of going in some ways in downtown St. Paul, but there really wasn't a driving force pushing the arts organizations, and there are many of them, in downtown St. Paul to work together. And so what we did really from the outside is form a board of directors that is not related to the arts organizations, and then started going to the arts organizations and talking about partnership. And it's been a very efficient way of getting things done because it just makes sense to work together. But since we're not inside, there's no conflict of interest, and so organizations are very willing to work with us.
Okay, so none of that kind of baggage, no specific agendas, organization by organization. You've got an overview on this. One partner, obviously, is the business community. Are they stepping up and working with you on this sort of thing?
They are. We work a lot with the Capital City Partnership, which is, of course, the partnership of all the major corporations that are involved in downtown St. Paul. And so we have a board member from Capital City, and that's really our conduit into the corporate community. But I think that's going to be expanding, and we're now working on programs that really tap into that resource.
Well, for those of us that work in the arts, the answer to this may be obvious, but a lot of folks might say, so you've got a bunch of business people in downtown St. Paul who are eager to work with you on this sort of thing. What's in it for them? I mean, why do they see the value of the arts as something that can be added on to their efforts in the business arena?
Well, my first job when I talk to a corporate client, if you were, is to convince them of the importance of the arts. And a lot of times that's just numbers. I mean, if you tell them that over 1,000 arts events and performances happen in downtown St. Paul every year, they go, really? I have no idea. If you tell them that 3,339 jobs are created by the nonprofit arts community in St. Paul, they're stunned.
That's a noticeable figure.
Right, and then the $1 billion economic impact of the arts statewide. I mean, there's a lot of numbers that really prove our point that the arts are making a difference in this community. Then the next step is to show them very easy ways, and it has to be very easy because they've got their own agendas and their own product. But if you can show them ways that they can get involved in the arts community in a very proactive and very efficient way, then they're interested.
Well, let me ask you, I don't mean this to be a hard question, but it's an interesting one to me. I think about that cultural corridor, which I thought of as a smart marketing agenda, basically. Let's see what we can do to work with the arts to bring a focus to downtown St. Paul. And St. Paul, I thought, was very successful earlier in the 80s with some development. I mean, there were physical bricks and mortar kind of development in Lower Town with some lofts and things like that. What's really driving this agenda? It sounds like it's not necessarily business per se. They're partners in this. Is it being driven by an arts agenda?
It's a very interesting agenda, and we're, as a very new organization, we're about 16 months old, we're facing those issues right now as we're building our vision for the next year. And what we really determined is that our agenda is focused ultimately on the audience. That the arts, we put our energy into arts organizations, into arts service organizations, and work with them so that they can better serve an audience. And by using that line of thinking, it's very easy for us to see that we need to go out and talk to the audience. And that's really what our agenda is to find out ways to improve that connection, as opposed to going just to the arts organizations and saying, what are your needs? We're doing that, but we're also going to the audiences and saying, what do you want to see in downtown St. Paul?
That sounds like it'd be very useful then, in turn, for the arts groups to be making some decisions.
Exactly.
Now, you're doing an assessment, am I right about this?
Right, we're doing, actually there's two parts to the needs assessment. We're doing a consumer survey where we sent out 6,000 surveys along with the city of St. Paul to Metro residents, and then we distributed them at performances downtown of the Opera and the Ordway and the History Theater and at the Minnesota Museum of American Art. And so those have been coming back in, and actually the deadline is coming up. And then we're going to take all that information together and really determine what is it that the audiences want to see, and more importantly, where are they coming from and why are they coming into downtown St. Paul, and what barriers are there that we can get rid of.
Interesting point, and it obviously sounds like you're doing this in a disciplined way, is to find out where the people are coming from. The cliche tends to be, for certainly the major institutions in the two cities here, those southwest suburbs are gold, and a lot of folks are coming in from there. But the East Metro also has an awful lot of folks that love to participate in the arts.
And it's huge and it's growing. Yeah. And in St. Paul, we see that as a big opportunity. It's been very interesting being from the St. Paul Arts Partnership because the bulk of the arts activity in the Twin Cities, if you look at percentages, a lot of it comes on this side of the river. And we have really tried to avoid any sort of competition. We see that we have a very strict geographic focus, and there are other geographic focuses or foci, and we try to support where we are, but we're also really trying to work with other organizations because we think that the most important thing is to make the arts have as much of a positive impact in our community as they can.
Well, I think it's clear that audiences don't stop at an imaginary border, and many arts groups themselves don't. They may have their home base in one city or another. Why don't we turn now to some collateral material you brought, and sure. I think what you've got here is a mock-up for a brochure you're going to be distributing.
Right, this is our now showing piece, and we're printing 250,000 of these, and then we'll be overprinting 20,000 of them monthly. And so that when you go to a restaurant or a kiosk, or if you go to a convention in downtown St. Paul, you'll get this piece. And you can see that on the front it just lists everything that's going on in all the arts organizations, and then on the back there are coupons, so that you have some sort of deal as well as a map, so that you can find your way around the confusing
Right
streets of
Yeah,
downtown
you got
St.
a
Paul.
Theater dinner, kind of a meal deal thing going here, free parking on Thursday nights, half price at certain other things.
And again, this is a mock-up, so don't run out and
Okay,
try
all
and get
right.
free parking.
Although, having said that, I do believe that this is the accurate address, or maybe over here, I don't know if the camera can get this. Can you just rattle off your,
Right.
your website here for
The
Now Showing?
website is www.nowshowing.org. Pretty easy to find.
Very easy. You must be happy you got that one. And you sent me something about that some weeks back, and I looked it up, and I have to say, it's gorgeous. Whoever designed that for you did a very nice job. It's a very nice looking site there, so congratulations.
I designed it,
Did you really?
but I don't know what I'm doing. So
Oh, well, you
I
did
won't
well.
take
and
credit for it.
You
A
have
lot
a
of
career
help.
somewhere there. That's,
Right,
that's good
exactly.
work. And as long as we're talking addresses and things, there's a phone number people can call if they want more information about the St. Paul Arts Partnership.
Right, it's 292-4300. And of course, in 6 months, it'll be 651-292-4300.
That's right, the new area code for that.
Right, which will
God,
confuse
does that change all these 225,000 pieces
Right,
you're
exactly.
doing?
Well, luckily we can.
Somebody will be
Right, going through with whiteout. If you want to volunteer. We'll
just to help the cause over there.
that'd be
That
great.
sounds great. A little bit about your background. You were working with the Times. You have a theater background, or?
Yeah, my training's in theater. I went to Hamlin University and got my degree in theater, and so and I was doing that from when I got out. I was a freelance designer, and then had that time when all of your worlds collide and you don't know where you should go, and so you think, what the heck, I'll invent it myself. And so that's why I created the Times Theater Company. Not necessarily the right reason to create a theater company, but it's been what I call the best mistake I ever made. So
Well, that sounds good. What kind of stuff do you do there? I mean, what's the typical season?
for the Times?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not involved anymore. They are really, the Times is moving into new areas. Originally, it was really on revisioning the classics.
Okay.
And now they're moving a lot more into family theater, again, on a classic theme. And I think that's going to be really exciting, taking into account the audience that we usually get in downtown St. Paul.
Wow, that's great. Any big new issues or trends that you've seen that are affecting either audiences or the companies you're working with in St. Paul?
A big issue, and this is really outside of audiences, but sponsorship, I think, is a big opportunity for a lot of arts organizations, in that it's a unique way to get community involvement and the all-important dollar at the same time to improve your product and to get into a new audience. We're working with Dayton's on the Now Showing piece, and so because of that we get half price and free parking in their parking ramp because they're sponsoring the piece. And that's a really unique partnership because we have the same market.
So another nice intersection there between business, in this case retail, perhaps,
Exactly.
And the arts. And at the top of our show, we mentioned something about cultural tourism. So a lot of places where the arts can help folks that are working in other areas.
Right, and the Convention and Visitors Bureau is really working with us because obviously they're interested. When people come to downtown St. Paul, they have a lot of things that they want to do, and they want to get that information in front of them, and we're going to help.
Sounds good. Jeff Nelson, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
St. Paul Arts Partnership. Glad to know more about it. Now, David Hanson of the Minneapolis Arts Commission, along with sound sculptor Norman Anderson, will be here to talk about one of the Arts Commission's most successful programs, the Gateway Projects, right after this short break, as Artifacts continues here on City Cable 34.
Don't hit, but mainly writing hits for them fools all over the world, keeping their pockets thick. We gets down to the nitty gritty on it, making one that's out of punch like Captain. It's the front St. Paul. What's the haps? What's the haps? You know.
And we're back, and I must say we're back to have a conversation that I've wanted to have for a long time. With me are two guests, both involved in the arts. David Hanson is the Executive Secretary of the Minneapolis Arts Commission. Very nice to have you here, David. And Norman Anderson, not only a sculptor, but a sound sculptor. Norman, nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. And we're going to talk about art. In fact, let's focus right off the bat on part of a gateway project that Norman's working on through the Arts Commission. This interesting and intriguing piece right here. I'm just going to pull it in there. Norman, do you want to just rattle off briefly what is this intriguing piece?
Well, first of all, this is just the model of the actual sculpture, which will stand almost 20 feet high above grade, and it will be located in Van Cleve Park, which is north of Dinkytown on 15th and Como Southeast. And it's very close to the intersection there. It's Actually, a steel structure, and it will be a rusted patina. It's not brass like this. This is just a study model. But essentially, it's a sound-producing sculpture which is controlled by the wind. And so when we get a breeze, this horizontal windmill will rotate, and that will sequence the organ pipes, which is what these cylinders are at the top.
Fascinating, sure.
And then there's also a wind vane here, which, depending on the exact direction the wind is coming from, will adjust the sequence. Well, it will affect the sequence of notes by blocking certain pitches, which will change the rhythmical structure and also the key center or the tonality. So it may sound sort of more major or more minor. It can really have a lot of effect. So if the wind's out of the northwest, you'll have a different kind of result in the sound than if it's from another direction.
Now, I know the site. It's right there at the corner of 15th and Como in southeast Minneapolis. And as I have driven by there, and as you've been preparing the site, there's some landscaping that goes with this. And did you say benches?
Yes, there's some benches that I'm also constructing and designed that will go at the site, sort of circling this. It's almost a slight amphitheater kind of effect. And then there's a nice community garden that I created the bed, and the neighbors were fantastic about planting some very nice material there, some nice plant material.
How loud will this be? If I'm sitting in one of these benches, I mean, will I be able to carry on a conversation, or will this really encompass the oral?
It's adjustable, and I haven't determined exactly how loud it will be.
What, you stuff a hanky up there, or what?
No, there's a little hatch in the bottom, and I can control some valves and so forth, yes.
Okay, so pay no attention to the man in the base of the sculpture.
That won't be done on an ongoing basis, but we'll have to establish kind of how loud it is at this. It's a very noisy intersection with buses and trucks, and there's trains that are coupling in the neighborhood that create sonic booms.
That's legal?
Yes.
All right.
And yes, yeah. For them it is.
Well, when does this go up? I know you've been in your studio for months on this, probably.
Yes.
When will people be able to go down to Southeast and see it?
I'm hoping this will be up by the end of the weekend here coming up, and we have a dedication on the 7th
of June.
So it'll certainly be up for that.
So as this show runs throughout the month of June, basically people can go out and see Norman Anderson's
and I hope they will. Yeah, it should be quite an interesting thing. They should be there at the times that it goes off, though, which maybe you just met with the neighbors last night, and they determined what the schedule will be for this.
In other words,
it is. It's like a clock.
Well, they've agreed to a schedule of 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock.
All right.
So running for a minute each time.
It's a short concert.
So this is, I can see it already. This is going to be like the glockenspiel. People are going to come to this for a certain experience.
I've sort of nicknamed it the Big Ben of Southeast neighborhood.
The Big Norman, that's great. Well, now, David, let's turn over to the Arts Commission. Real briefly, in case anybody doesn't know, what is the Minneapolis Arts Commission, just in a general sense?
Well, the Minneapolis Arts Commission is an advisory body to the mayor and the city council on the arts, and it's a 17-member volunteer body with a small staff that works to really provide arts opportunities for the citizens of Minneapolis and to create artworks that say something special about the neighborhoods.
Well, and as a disclaimer, we've mentioned this on Artifacts in the past, both myself and our crack director inside the booth, Edie French. We've served on the Arts Commission with David over the years, so it's a pleasure to have you here, David, and we do know something of the history, the venerable history here of the Arts Commission. This piece by Norman fits into what you call the Gateway Project. Can you just describe that overall sort of historical project?
Right. Neighborhood gateways are major public art projects that really are developed in collaboration with individual neighborhoods throughout the city. We work together with them in the artist selection processes and develop gateways which really say something special or meaningful about the neighborhood in which they are sited. One reflection here, as Norman was talking, was just thinking the cylindrical structures that you see here really echo the grain elevators that are just to the west of the Van Cleef Park.
Which is why I'm glad you guys are here, because I would not have thought of that until maybe I visually made the connection. Because what a Bungie or whatever the company up there just to the west about from where this will be seated.
That's exactly
fascinating. And I know that some of the other gateways have also just articulated some of the cultural history or the architecture or the people in those neighborhoods. You brought a few slides just to give us a sampling, not all by any means, but a few of the other gateways historically that have been done? Do you want to just talk about what you brought?
Well, sure. The last gateway that we've dedicated is the Camden Gateway up in the Camden area of North Minneapolis.
Very popular, that particular one.
The signature sculpture, in fact, was featured on the last home edition of the Star Tribune. And really, within less than 2 years, it became a symbol of the Camden community because it was on the front page of the home section.
So,
this sculpture is the signature piece for the Camden Gateway, and it really reflects the 7 neighborhoods that make up the Camden community. And the artist is Zoran Mosilov.
Okay.
And it's a steel and stone structure, which the 7 rocks really represent the 7 neighborhoods of the community.
Good example then of how the artists work with the neighborhoods again.
Exactly, right. Yeah. The Harrison Gateway was the one dedicated before that, and the Harrison Gateway is interesting. When the artist Jane Fries Kluth went out there to look at the neighborhood, and she was selected as the artist, in the neighborhood, what she kept on seeing was children everywhere. So she decided on 2 bronze cast sculptures of children upon 2 pedestals with very interesting painted designs, which have survived very well.
And I must say, one of my favorites because it's so playful, and I enjoy the images of the children up there.
And it's really an identifying symbol for the neighborhood.
Right off Highway 55.
55 and Penn.
And Penn, right.
This is the Phillips Gateway, a project which really was very process-oriented. It really involved an educational component of the artist working with youth from the neighborhood, from many different cultures. It really was a very special project which involved a very strong educational component in which kids learned how to construct a public art project and the various aspects of the construction process.
And so another example of getting kids involved. Now at Harrison, the kids were actually part of the imagery, and here the children actually worked on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, another nice one.
The Powderhorn Gateway is a beautiful structure that reminds a lot of people of a tea house, but it's right on Powderhorn Lake, and although it's a brilliant structure, it contains many multicultural symbols which are really reflective of the neighborhood in which it is.
And the colors there are one of my favorite things, even if I'm not down on it, but I see it across the park down that little slope towards the pond. The artist on that?
The artist is Susan Feeney, and I'm glad you mentioned that because the way the structure reflects off the lake is just beautiful at certain times of the day.
Yeah. And you have one more here.
And the last one is the Northeast Gateway, which we've just completed some restoration of it. The gateway really reflects the 25 ethnic groups that live in the Northeast Minneapolis area, and these are painted designs that occur at the intersection of the intersection of Broadway Northeast and Central.
Yep.
And they are 25 designs, ethnic designs that the residents actually submitted to reflect the makeup of their neighborhood.
Right, and the artist on that was?
Again, Susan Feeney.
Happened to be, just coincidentally, she happened to end up with 2. I was recently at that intersection, and I'm happy to hear what you said, is that there had been a little renovation, because I looked at it and I said, something looks a little different here, and I think a few things have been touched up, and maybe in one of the corners there are a couple of extra bars put in or something.
Yeah, some repainting has occurred too, so they're really bright and brilliant now. They're back to better than ever, I think.
Oh, it's a fascinating thing, and it doesn't matter wherever you get stopped at a stoplight up there at that intersection, there's something fun to look at, and when you know the history, you realize that that's coming out of a given ethnic background. Wasn't on that last one, wasn't there a comic book or something that was put together?
Yeah, there's a book that's been used in grade schools around the city, a coloring book that is a very useful tool, and it's very exciting for kids to work with because they learn something about the symbols, the identifying symbols of the ethnic groups.
Sure. Now, with the installation here of Norman's piece, not exactly as we're sitting here taping the show, but in the very earliest, latter part of May, early part of June, whenever, you're almost completed now with this sort of cycle of the gateways. Am I right about that, David?
Well,
first cycle
Norman's is the 7th, and we've got 4 in the works right now.
Yeah.
And they represent various stages of the completion process. And in one, the Echo Gateway, the artist has been selected. It's Philip Rickey.
Okay.
With the Armitage Gateway, we're at the finalists have been selected, but from this you'll see the various stages that we're at. The finalists have been selected, but we're looking towards selection of the artist very soon.
Oh, okay.
And the preliminary review for the Columbia Park Gateway will be coming up just in a few days.
That's great.
So.
Now, David, before we run off, we've got just a second left. There's a phone number for the Arts Commission if people want to find out more about not only gateways, but the Arts Commission.
Yeah, the Arts Commission's phone number is 673-3006.
Okay, and they can find that small but very efficient staff at that number. Is that right?
Yes, there are two of us, and actually the other number is 673-3760.
Okay, for the
so
other
you can
staff
try
members.
you can try either number.
That's great. Norman, I want to thank you very much. Best of luck on the installation. We'll get down there and we'll look at your work.
Yeah, enjoy it. Listen.
We will. At those times
Listen.
again are?
12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock.
Okay, it
Every
sounds
3 hours. It's on the
starting at,
quarters.
there's a pattern there. David, nice to have you on the show. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
All right. Now, up next, a notable art quote, and then right here in our studio, music by a Lil Buddy. Pete Rhodes will also join us for a quick update on the Black Music Expo. Stay with us.
Yeah, this one goes out to all of my knobs in Minnesota who's rolling down 94 West and 94 East. Stay purred, you know the word. St. Paul, what's the haps? Minute, what's the haps? Cause the knob, little but there's always on that major scratch. When you see me in the club, give me that. Rose bond like Anton, cause I'm kicking it like that. I'm sending out a toast to all my guys sipping yak. And to the hustlers on the corner shooting craps. Got a partner named Nate who straight said I was a Mac. Cause I got more women than most fools that's sporting caps. The high naps, we get back on top. And then PLS with the symbol who dropped emancipation to show who's best. Don't guess, some of the finest starter stuff from this set. Like little but they on fly, licking Eskimo pie. That's why we in the igloo 612, hibernating in cold weather where polar bears go through, bent through any next language we fin to. Sharpen our skills to a razor point like Ginsu. St. Paul, what's the haps? A minute, what's the haps?
You know, I know y'all know the haps.
Why? Because we got it like that. Now East Coast, what's the haps? West Coast, what's the haps?
You know, I know y'all know the haps.
Damn, I got myself in Minnesota, deep on the north side, gonna make a quota. Time passing me by, yo, I'm only getting older. Just wanna release some of the stress off of my shoulders. You bump. This heat wave through your trunk. My concepts don't catch no dust, cause it's meant funk. You only want to know the haps of raps. You better wear them Jim hats or catch the claps. Now who rocks the party that rocks the body? Little buddy from the IG loop, so why don't you get yourself together? Cause if you don't know, now you know even better. My clicks on hit, but mainly writing hits for them fools all over the world. Keeping their pockets thick. We gets down to the nitty gritty on it, making wonders out of punch like Captain. It's the crunch. St. Paul, what's the haps? A minute, what's the haps?
You know, I know y'all know the haps.
Why? Because we got it like that. Now East Coast, what's the haps? West Coast, what's the haps?
You know, I know y'all know the haps.
Now what y'all putting that on? Down south, fella. We put that on the side. East Coast, fella. We put that on the side. Midwest, fella. We put that on the side. Now West Coast. Where you at? Where you at? Big Loop, nah. We put that on the side. King Kong T. He puts that on the side. Big Mac name. He puts that on the side. Now little buddy, where you at? Where you at? I be's right here with my family. Sort of like Puff, staking up on the cash and only keeping enough to stay plus. Never had a crew like this, cause we the IG Luke, Cake and OB click. We got it in the big squad hip hop to a new era. And as I stand looking at myself in the mirror, there is no other bringing it like I. And now I'm the new inspiration for those who wanna try to be like the B-U-D-D-Y. Mr. Lingo, been bringing it to you since that very first single, and continue to get in you with each release, backed by two beats. Nobbing through the southwest and east with the knobs, Dilla Mac, no Spedo tracks, and Mike on KMOJ. Too late, that's the ill play. I say we don't have no time for no slag. That's why we letting the whole world know we know the haps. St. Paul, what's the haps? A minute, what's the haps?
You know, I know y'all know the haps.
Why? Because we got it like that. Now East Coast, what's the haps? West Coast, what's the haps?
You know, I know y'all know the haps.
Yeah. Now bring it back down south. What's the haps? Midwest, what's the haps?
You know, I know y'all know the haps.
Why? Because we got it like that. Now East Coast, what's the haps? West Coast, what's the haps?
You know, I know y'all know the haps. Include singing.
All right, you guys. Thank you very much. That's excellent.
Glue knobs.
Yeah. I can feel your energy. It's actually hot up here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd like you all to introduce yourselves quickly.
I'm King Kong, a.k.a. Dr. Kevorkian.
Nice to meet you, Dr. Kevorkian.
Nobzilla McNass, a.k.a. Big Percy.
Nice to meet you.
Little Buddy, a.k.a. Little Dirty.
Little Buddy.
And you're Pete Rhodes.
I'm Pete Rhodes.
And we've had you on the show many times before.
Thanks a lot for having us again, Janet.
It's my pleasure, of course. You've got your big event coming up in June.
Yep, the 17th, and I may add the final Minnesota Black Music Awards.
The final awards.
The final one, yeah. Bringing it to an end, but we're going to bring it to the end with the bang. These guys are going to be a part of it, and want people to check them out in the Source magazine story they're going to be in July.
Right.
But we're going to go out with a lot of our alumni, people from Sounds, Dennis Spears, and Nasby, who hopefully be here. We're recognizing Mint Condition, a lot of other stars, including Nex, which you profiled on the show earlier.
Tell us the who, what, when, where, why. It's June 19th, 2021?
June 19th, 2021. We kick it off on the 19th at the Fine Line Music Cafe with our R&B showcase. And,
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
All right.
And you know it. And then we move on Saturday to a program in conjunction with Juneteenth from noon to 5. And on Sunday, we'll be at the International Market Square for the 17th and final Minnesota Black Music Awards. It's hosted, by the way, by Robin Robinson from KMSP.
Okay, and where's the gig on Saturday?
The gig on Saturday is going to be out at Theodore Wirth Park with the Juneteenth celebration. So we're expecting thousands and thousands of people and a lot of good talent to be on that evening.
Really fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
And you guys will be there?
Yes.
Excellent. Yep. All right.
Great.
Pete, I just want to congratulate you for all the hard work and dedication that you've given to this project over the years, and it's been a real good thing for the city of Minneapolis. It's been a great thing for musicians like these guys coming up, and congratulations.
Thanks for having us all these years. It's always been fun coming on to Artifacts, and it's great exposure for the program. So we invite everybody to come out June 19th, 20th, and 21st. And if they need more information, they can call us at 341-2447.
Number again.
341-2447.
Good. Thanks very much. Thank you all.
Thank you. All right.
And we'll be back in just a second. Phil's going to come and wrap up the show with me right after this. And we're back.
Zounds.
Yes. Little
Wow.
Buddy, that was pretty exciting.
Little Buddy was good, yeah.
Ooh,
Now, what did we just see? What did we just come
We
on?
just saw a clip from the Broadway show Forever Tango, which is running at the State Theater June 16th through the 20th.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Little Buddy. I kept wondering, like, if I said Gil Scott-Heron, if, like, any of those guys would know, or is that just too old? The Last Poets, anybody? I know I've got my albums.
I don't know.
Well, it's time for a little chat. A little chat. An earlier guest on the show, Norman Anderson. There's actually going to be a Southeast Como Neighborhood Gateway reception, a dedication of that gateway on June 7th. So I know that's early in the run of this show, but if you get a chance, or any time after that, go down.
Yes, I can't wait to see it.
15th in Como, go see that. It's going to be very cool on site there. So that's pretty neat.
And is this on June 7th?
1 p.m. at Van Cleve Park.
Okay.
Down at the corner.
All right.
Look for the sculpture.
Look
It'll
for
be
the
there.
sculpture. Yeah. And I just want to mention the U Film Society in June is running a bunch of films that were very well received at the St. Paul International Film Festival last month. So there's some really good ones. Driver 23, Kristen Lavransdatter.
Oh yeah, that'd be Lavren's daughter.
Yeah, that's the daughter of Lavran.
Lavran.
Yes, this gorgeous work played to 2 sellout audiences at the Minneapolis St. Paul Film Fest. So there's lots of good stuff happening. And in July, 12 selected Hungarian films.
I'm glad they're selecting those Hungarian films. That's always important.
Okay, and I get that.
Yeah, that's right. We like to throw that stuff right off the set here. And it is time for the 5th annual Fat Summer. That's the annual program that helps kids here in the Minneapolis area find neat things to do. The reason we're mentioning on Artifacts is a lot of those activities are arts related. Now, it starts the end of June. June 22nd goes through August 14th. Just all kinds of music, dancing, mime, mural painting, photography. And if you're really good, you can paint a mime, I think. There's a number to call, 661-4871. And you mimes, don't call.
Phil,
So
I
it's
think
kinda
you have
fun.
something against mimes.
Nothing that I would tell them to their face.
Okay, well.
So, and I think it's time people grab their pens or pencils, because we're going to have a calendar of events coming up. And underneath the credits, somehow we stumbled into poetry this year in Artifacts. If you listen closely, you will hear E.E. Cummings reading one of his own poems.
So you have to watch the credits though. So hang
yeah,
with
so
us.
watch them listen to E.E. Cummings.
And
Yes?
I just want to say thanks
all
for
agog.
watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching, folks.
Yeah, I'm Janet Zahn.
And I'm Phill Lindsay. We'll see you next time.
Rain or hail, Sam done the best he kin till they digged his hole. Sam was a man, stout as a bridge, rugged as a bear, slick on a weasel, how be you, sun or snow? Gone into what? Like all them kings you read about, and on him sings a whippoorwill. Heart was big as the world ain't square, with room for the devil and his angels too. Yes, sir. What may be better, or what may be worse, and what may be clover, clover, clover? Nobody'll know. Sam was a man, grinned his grin, done his chores, laid him down. Sleep well.